Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Abiba and I help beginners learn sewing step by step. So on today's video, I'll be showing you how to draft a dress block. So please watch the video to the end and don't forget to support me by subscribing, like and make comments on the videos. So let's start. Now the first thing we'll be needing is measurements. So the measurement I'll be using for this dress block, the neck measurement is 14 inches, the shoulder is 14, the neck and the armhole depth is 7.5, the bust point is 10, the bust is 34, the waist point is 16, the waist is 29, that's the circumference of the waist is 29, the hip point is 8, the full hip is 36. So these are the measurements I'll be using to draft the dress block. Now, first thing I'll be marking out is a guideline. Now I'll mark out my guideline. Now the guideline is where I'll be starting from. So I'm marking from the edge. Now I'm done marking the edge. Now my measurement is starting from this guideline. So I'll start by taking the neck measurement. My neck is 14 inches. 14 divided by 4, sorry, 14 divided by 5. The neck is always divided by 5. It's going to give us 2.8. So I'll be using my 2.8. I'll mark my neck 2.8. Now my shoulder is 14. 14 divided by 2 is going to be 7 inches. So I'll mark my 7 inches. Now the depth of my neck is, I can use the same thing I use for the weight as the depth. So but I'm adding 0.2 to it, so I'm making it 3 inches. So my neck is 3 inches, the depth is 3, the weight is 2.8. So I'll bring out, so I'll bring my French curve and mark out the shape of the neck out. From here, curve it. Now I'll move to my shoulder. I marked my shoulder is 14. 14 divided by 2 is 7 inches. Now to get my shoulder slope, I'm going to divide my shoulder by 10. Shoulder divided by 10 is going to give me 1 point. It gave me 1.4. So I'll be using my 1.4 as the depth, the slope. I'll be using it as the slope of my shoulder. So I'm starting my shoulder. So whatever yours is, you use it to slant for the slope of the shoulder. Now from this, I'll mark my armhole measurement. The depth of my armhole is 7.5. So I'll mark my 7.5, I'll mark it, and I'll bring out the line. Now I'll bring it down both vertical and horizontal. This is me bringing it down. Now I'll interpret my bust on the armhole. So my bust is 34 divided by 4 is going to be 8.5. So from here now, I'll mark my 8.5. So I'll mark my bust 8.5. Now I'll go back to my armhole depth and bring the shape of the curve of the armhole. Now to bring the curve of the armhole, I'll place my tape 7.5 and look for the midpoint of 7.5. So I'll place my tape this way. The midpoint of 7.5 is here. So I'll mark in 0 I'll mark in 0.5, that's half inches in. So I'll bring my curve, my French curve, and curve it out. Now watch the way I'm curving it from then to the measurement of my bust. To where my bust measurement. So now this is my curve. Now I'll measure my shoulder to my bust point. My shoulder to bust point is 10 inches. So I'll mark 10 inches. I'll take note of it. 10 inches. That's my shoulder to bust. Now my shoulder to my waist is 16 inches. So I'll measure my shoulder to waist 16 inches. Now please note the front shoulder is always different from the back. Reason why is because of the bust. So my front shoulder to waist is 16, while my back shoulder to waist is 15. So I have different of 1 inches. So yours might be different from mine. You might have different of 1.5 or 2 inches depending on how busty you are. So mine is my shoulder to waist is for the front measurement is 16 inches. So I'll mark my 16 inches here. Now to interpret my waist measurement now to bring out the okay, let's do the that. My apex to apex, that's my nipple to nipple measurement is 7 inches. 7 divided by 2 is going to be 3.5 inches. So on my bust line, I'll mark 3.5 and I'll repeat the same line on the waistline. Now the bust line is now serving as a guideline to bring out our dart. Now to bring out the dart measurement. Now if what I have on my waist, my bust measurement is 34. 34 divided by 4 gave me 8.5. Now this is my 8.5. If I repeat the same thing on my waistline, 8.5. So the difference between I'm going to look for the difference between my bust and my waist to get my dart. Now my waist is 29. 29 divided by 4 is going to be 7.2. 7.2. So the difference between my bust and my waist is 1.2. 1.2. So I'll be using the 1.2 for the dart. Now remember I need to shape out this side, the side seam, the side part. So I'll be using 0.2 on this side. I'll mark my 0.2 on this side. Now the remaining 1 inches, I'll use it for my dart. So I'll share the dart on both sides, both the side leg. I'm marking half inches here, half inches here. So that's how to get your dart. So whatever you have as your bust, and you minus your waist from your bust. What is remaining will be the dart. Will be you use it for the dart. So now I'm marking my dart leg half inches on both sides. So I'll mark half inches here, half inches here. Now to connect my dart, I'll drop down by 1 inches from the bust point. So I'll mark my dart leg. Now I've marked my dart. Now to get the bust dart, remember I told you that my shoulder to waist for the front is 16, for the back is 15. So the difference is 1 inch. So I'll be using my 1 inches for the dart. So that is the measurement for my bust dart. So yours might be 2 inches or 1.5 inches depending on the difference between your back and the front. So I'll mark my bust dart this way. So now I'm done with this. Now going to my hip, I'll measure from my waistline to my hip is 8 inches. So I'll measure from here and mark my 8 inches, and I'll interpret my hip. I'll interpret my hip on this line. So my hip measurement is 36. 36 divided by 4 is going to be 9 inches. So I'll mark my 9 inches here. This is my 9 inches. Now I'll use my hip curve measurement and ruler to curve it. So as you can see, I'm done with the front body. Now the next thing is to draft out the back pattern. Extend my dark leg to this point. So the front pattern, the front desk block is ready. So let's move to the back. Now before moving to the back, I need to close the bust dart to check the blending of the side seam. So after closing the bust dart, now so with my ruler, I'm just going to extend this like this. So that is, I'm done with the front. So let's move to the back. Now to start with the back, drafting, I also start with my neck. The neck, well, the weight is 2.8. Remember, my neck is 14 divided by 4 by 5 is 2.8. So I'll mark my 2.8. Now the depth I'm using is 1.5 inches. So that's the depth that I'll be using for the back. So I'll bring out my French curve and curve it out. Now the sloping for this, I divided my shoulder. Now I'll interpret my shoulder. My shoulder is 7. Now to slope this, the front is always slopier than the back. So I'll be using 1 inches for this. So the front is always deeper than the back. So now my armhole depth, remember, 7.5 inches. Mm. And I'll bring out the line. My bust, 8.5, that's 34 divided by 4, 8.5, 8.5. I mark it. Now the for back, just the way I did for the front, I'll be looking for the midpoint of this, which is going to be half of the measurement here. Then this time around, I'm going in with 0.2 inches. Mm? The front I went in with half inches, but this one I'll be going in with 0.2 inches. So I'll curve and bring out my armhole. So this is the armhole for the back. Now my shoulder to waist, remember I told you for the front is different from the back. So my shoulder to waist for the back is 15 inches. Then from there I'll mark my shoulder to hip, which is 8 inches. So I'm bringing out this line out. Now I'll interpret my measurement. My waist is, I'll be using the same measurement as my bust. Now the difference between my bust and the waist, remember how I did it for the back? I'll be using my apex to apex measurement. That's my shoulder to bust point. I'll just take note of it. It's not like I'm marking it. I'll take note of it here. My apex to apex is 3.5. That's 7 divided by 2. So the line, I'll be interpreting it. I'll use it as my guideline to bring out the darts leg. Remember 3 inches before the hip. So I'm bringing out my darts. Now on the waistline now, I'm marking half inches on this side. Then you can take it as to the armhole line, like 1 inch before the armhole, 1 inch before the armhole. So now I'll bring out the darts and I'll shape the side. Then I'll interpret my hip, 9 inches. So now the back is ready. But before then, there's this gaping at the back, especially at the waistline. So I normally take out 0.7 inches from the back measurement. So it's more like a dart. It's more like a dart. So I'll take it up to this point. So it's just to take out the excess at the back. So I'm done with the back. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and like and make comments. See you next time.